Hello, 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 and welcome to the Full Quota Podcast. This is your weekly South African cricket podcast, myself and Tim. And we talk all things South African cricket. We're going to just give you a rundown of what's happened in the week, have a discussion around the CSA T20, and just get you going so you know where everybody is and what certain team is sitting at the top of the log. Unbeaten, going quietly. No one's making a lot of noise about it, but we'll talk about that too on today's show. But before we do anything, please do follow us on Full Quarter Pod. We appreciate your support on X, Full Quota Pod, One World Sports Radio's YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, so you know whenever we go live, you will be able to see us. And yeah, we appreciate your comments. We appreciate all the reviews and everything else with that. But also, we've got an audio version. So if you want to listen to us through your ears, hello, people who are listening to us, you're not seeing us. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's been an interesting week, but before we do anything, Tim, how are you doing?
Taking into consideration that two of my teams lost in the dying seconds of both games, I'm alright.
Oh yeah.
I'm hurting for
Liverpool
both.
and
Yeah,
Province. Hey, look,
yeah.
we thank the
So,
Lightning for giving us some
yeah,
sort of an entertaining game yesterday, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, lots to talk. Like for me, I like this because then the Proteas stars are gone, IPL bound, and now we get to see who's next. And in what happened this week, we got to see what's next and who's next for the Proteas women. The SA emerging side went to the African Games. It used to be called the All Africa Games. Now it's the African Games because I don't know if it covers all of the African nations. I don't know why they took all away from it, but anyway, the African Games are like the Commonwealth Games, but for Africa. And so there's cricket now for the first time in ever. And so South Africa took a team there, the women's team, SA Emerging. There are lots of youngsters from the under 19 side, a lot of players in the domestic setup who are on the cusp of making Proteas, but sometimes some of them not so much. Uh, they played an entire tournament last week, well, last week and the week before. They lost to Namibia in the first game, which was the biggest shock in the world. But anyway, but Namibia as well are a really good side, and they took their full strength side. And then the emerging women, SA emerging, managed to get to the gold medal match. They beat Uganda. Was it Uganda or Nigeria? It was
Uganda,
Nigeria.
because
It was Uganda.
Zimbabwe beat it. Yeah,
Nigeria.
uh,
Zimbabwe beat Nigeria. Sorry.
yeah.
Yes, they got to the gold medal match, and so they still managed to get there, which was really really awesome. And they got Zimbabwe in the final. Now, this is Zimbabwe side that looks full strength. This isn't the Zimbabwe emerging side that you saw. There were a lot of really star-studded players in that team. Sean Mayers, who's a friend of the show. They had Modesta Mupachigwa at the top, who scored quite a lot of runs for Zimbabwe. Sean was coming back from an injury, which was really good to see her back there playing cricket. They also had Marianne Musonda. They had a whole host of just regulars. They remember the Zimbabwean team nearly qualified for the World Cup, the Women's Cricket World Cup, that was going to be held in South Africa last year. They missed out on qualification in a final. It was ridiculous fashion against Ireland. Ireland managed to get the ticket here, and they didn't. So it was a very strong team that the SA Emerging came up against in that final, that gold medal match. Both teams ended up on 112 in that game, and it was an interesting one because it went to a super over, and the super over had Henri Dirksen batting for South Africa with Mian Smith, and they both were out one after each other in that, and so in a super over, once you take 2 wickets, it's done. And Francesca Chipare just gave us a masterclass. So South Africa only scored 2 runs in that super over, and then Kellis and Glover managed to get the runs later on in there. But from a normal regular in the game, Modesta Muchapachiwa scored 31. Kellis and Glover, who's the up and coming star, scored 28 runs for the Zimbabwe side. Couldn't get a lot of wickets, 1 wicket apiece for all the bowlers. And then from a runs perspective, it was Mian Smith, 31 of 32, that kind of got the Proteas to 112 for 8 towards the end. And yeah, just really, really disappointing that they managed to lose that in that fashion. But Tim, what did you make of the girls in Ghana and how they played?
Yeah, like I think they played pretty well, but if you get beaten by the team that were unbeaten throughout the tournament, you've got to say, got to take your hat off to them. I thought in that final, Zimbabwe were the better team.
Mm,
Even in the normal game before we went to the Super Over, I thought the
mm,
way they restricted our batters was extremely good. I thought it was really, really impressive. So look, the fact that we didn't get the final, I don't think should be uh, a massive setback. Yeah, it's a disappointment. Of course, it's a disappointment. But I think if you're looking at players that stood up and said, you know what, I'm here, I think Smith had a very good tournament. I think
mm-hmm.
of I don't know where she is in terms of the reckoning, but she's one of the players that certainly put her hand up and said, you know what, you're looking for fresh players, I'm available. So yeah, look, disappointment of course, but sometimes on the day you just get beaten by the better team, and on that day, you've got to give credit to Zimbabwe. I really thought they were outstanding, particularly in the way that they bowled.
Yes, yes, most definitely. And yeah, Mian Smith of the Knights, coming out of the Free State. She's was in the SA under 19 side that played last year at the World Cup at home. Also an all-rounder, was really good from a middle order batting perspective. So you kind of get a sense that that's where we're going to be looking for the next people who are going to come into the Proteas. Karabo Meso finally got her call up as a wicketkeeper into the Sri Lanka series. And she's 16 years old, but she was part of that S under 19 side. She also went to Ghana, didn't score a lot of runs, but she gives you handy runs when you need them. And so it's good to see that. It kind of feels that that's where it's coming, because there are a lot of other players who are in and around the setup who have been playing professionally for a while now, who didn't put up their hands, or and so that's
Faye
that was.
Tunnicliffe,
But so here's the thing with I expect a little bit more from Faye. She's the number 2 run scorer in the tournament. So you're sitting going, she did put up her hands, but you kind of felt like you would have wanted a little bit more with the way she's been playing domestically, right? Like you'd want her in the mix for the Proteas women, and you thought maybe she would be the one to push it up. My worries when the captain Nondumisa Shangase. I think from a batting perspective, work needs to be done there. I think from a bowling perspective, she's still okay, and she can come in. She took 9 wickets in the tournament. Kayla Reinecker was an interesting one as well from a wicket taking perspective. The only thing that was worrying me was we don't have fast bowlers. We don't have someone in the pipeline that we can throw in and say she's got the ability to be a pacer for the side, all the top. And I think we kind of saw where the glaring issues are, but it's a massive step down between emerging and what is it? SA emerging and the Proteas, right? And to think that emerging kind of needs to be playing in these tournaments against the other African nations to improve. One, yes, 100%, but you also need to find ways to get them to be upskilled in terms of getting to closing that gap. And I don't know where that's going to be, because from a domestic perspective, this is this I wouldn't say it's a B team. It's likely a C team, because there are a lot of players who I'd have loved to see here who are on the bench for the Proteas women. And so that was the thing. But anyway, well done to this emerging. They got a silver. Well done to Denisha. Obviously, that's probably disappointing, but congratulations to Sean and Zimbabwe on getting the gold. I hear they got a hero's welcome when they arrived in Harare yesterday. And then the men's side, South Africa is playing in the African Games as well. Uh, they'll be playing in an hour's time, actually, from when we're recording here, against Kenya, which I think is probably going to be one of their hardest games. But they did play against Ghana, and I think they put up like 250, 237 for two,
Yeah,
and it was
expect them.
George van Heerden. It was George van Heerden, former SA under 19. He just laid into them 107 or 57 balls. Heinrich Peterse, 62 of 34. He hit his wicket. Okay. And then Lihan Botha, 46 of 25. The team's got some interesting names. Keegan Leon Cachet from the Titans. He's a central Gauteng, but I think he's up there at Pretoria University. You've got Ethan Frosler. You've also got Lifan Danzi, he's the guy, he's the quick we're looking. So everyone's talking about like the stocks, he's the next generation, he's the next guy up. From a fast bowling perspective that we are looking. He's just been injured for a while, so it'll be interesting to see how he does here. But he'll I think he'll do well over there.
It's a
If you
look. It's a much stronger men's side, if we're honest. The men's
mm,
side is a much stronger unit than we put out for the women. Um, you could definitely say it's a lot. It's a lot more of a stronger unit, and
mm.
if they didn't go all the way, it would be a much more of a disappointment.
Yes, and the thing is, it's a very young SA emerging side. So it's guys who are in the under 19s who've been in and around that setup. Guys who are playing varsity cup cricket essentially, for the respective universities. So I'm excited. I think they might do well in this tournament. It's going to be quite interesting to see how they do. Anyway, Tim, let's go into the CSA T20. This time, let's start with Division Two. Some of the Division Two results, and we'll go into that. So Division Two. Last week we were talking. We thought Limpopo, the Impalas were sitting up there, sitting pretty. We thought maybe there might be a correction. There's no correction at all. Um, but it started last week. Tuesday, Easterns played the Garden Badgers, and the Badgers. Easterns won by 9 runs in that game. Easterns scoring 172 for 7. Badgers 163 for 9. Shane Dadswell, that's a name you have heard, you've seen in SA 20, 38 of 21. And for the Gardenwood Badgers, Heath Richards scored 42 of 22. It was a high scoring game, but Easton's managing to get through and get their first win of the tournament. Then the next fixture this week was the Knights taking on the Eastern Cape Lanyati, aka Border. We're going to call them the Lanyati. Another high scoring game in East London. The Knights won by 31 runs. Those kids, Garner Tar, 72 of 24. Dion Forrester, 57 of 31. And Marco Murray for the Lanyati, 70 of 39. He's one player I think mm, should be in Division One, as a middle order batter, just churning out runs there, in the middle. The Impalas 92 of Impalas scored 92 runs before it was called off for rain. No result there against the Rhinos. That would have been a top of the table clash we were waiting for. It didn't happen. But who would have thought that in Division Two, Limpopo and Mpumalanga would be at top of the log? But yeah, Easton's had something to say about that, and they won their second game in a week by 57 runs against the Northern Cape Heat. This Heat side is looking more and more like a Red Bull side. 174 for 7 to the Eastern scored. Sikukuna 39 of 28. Aaron Fisser 40 of 21. And the Heat managing only 117. Benjamin van Rensburg 3 for 28. And then over the weekend, we had the Badgers taking on the Lanyati. 148 plays 149. Lanyati won by 2 wickets with 1 ball remaining. Jason Niemand of the Lanyati scored 57 of 47. Marco Murray 38 of 31. And Jade de Klerk of the Eastern Cape Lanyati taking 3 of 15 in that game. And then the final game of the week yesterday, the Impalas, Limpopo took on the Knights in Bloem. Impalas won by 20 runs. Ron Hasbrook, former Lions, former Mpumalanga player, 63 of 36. Sizo Masondo, remember him from the Titans, 59 of 53. Jacques Snyman scored 73 of 54, but it wasn't enough. And his teammate from the Knights, Don Khatebe, took 5 for 25, but even that wasn't enough. Don Khatebe took 5 for 25 for the Impalas to help them
Palace,
win
yeah.
that game. And yeah, Tim, Impala's going strong. Easton's coming in. What did you like about this week?
Well, it's as you say, it's the week of shocks really. That's the week. Well, that's what we like. So the Eastern's
Mm.
beating Northern Cape Heat. Yes, Northern Cape Heat are not a T20 side. Um, I think that
But you've
sticking
got
with
like
somebody like
Jonathan
that.
Van Dier
Yeah, but no,
and
no.
those big
I,
hitters.
so just on that, Van Dier's past it. Van Dier's past it.
Ah,
Van Dier
but in the 4 day
was.
we were saying he was scoring runs. Now he's past it.
Yes,
Come on, Tim.
well, look, I thought it would be a good signing. So I'm not going to sit
Mm-hmm.
here and say I said it weeks ago that he would be a failure. I'm looking at it now. If you're not playing regular cricket, I think it does make an effect, and he is gonna, because he's explosive. He is gonna have one game where he's gonna make 60 or 30 because he still has that ability. But if you're
Mm.
Northern Cape Heat and you're fighting for promotion, you need somebody doing it more consistently than he is. Um, Precisely because they don't have hitters in that top six. That is an issue. Um, that's a huge issue for them. Um, so I think that they going forward they need to go and find a youngster. Go and
Mm.
find a younger version of a Jonathan Van Dier, who's starting out at their careers. Look, there are people out there. There's absolutely are people out there. Um, but Eastern's getting off the mark and getting 2 wins in that week, so they're obviously the winners. But the big
Mm.
ones are Limpopo. We said Limpopo would be a surprise package. We said they had hitters. They have got hitters. They've got match winners. They have got people who are thriving at this shorter format. Um, I think Daniel van der Merwe, left
Yes.
arm pace bowler,
Mm-hmm.
left hand bat, is going to be a real find for the South African cricket. I hope he stays there. I want him to stay there for another season or two. I want him to find
Mm-hmm.
his mojo. I want him to be more consistent. So I hope he just doesn't jump straight across to Division One. Um, but he's a real find. Passport
And
fantastic. Um, so yeah, look, it's the shock factor. The only downside is Northern Cape's Heat's struggles, even with the night losing to
mm,
Limpopo, do make the promotion story
a little bit
a
tough.
little bit one-sided at the moment.
Mm. Yeah, and that's the thing that we're gonna talk about. And let's look at that log right now, right? Because from our understanding, right, you've got the Heat who've won 4 day, you've got the Knights who effectively won the 1 day cup, both on 15 points. So it's gonna come down to this. Obviously, depending on how other teams finished in this in the other tournaments, how the Knights finished in the 4 day series, I think they came second. So they've given them a chance. The Heat in the 1 day cup didn't finish in the top four, I think. So they've got a lot of catching up to do. So they needed to effectively win this one and have the Knights come out at the bottom. But it's seemingly, if you look at it now, the Knights are leading the Heat here, and the Heat need to effectively go on a run, probably win all their games from now on until the end. In order for them to give themselves a chance and hope the Knights start losing games as you go along. So they need help from friends to try and make a case. But if you look at that log right now, the Impalas are leading are first. They've won 3 of their 4 matches from Limpopo, 14 points. Eastern's having split their 4 games 2-2 on 9 points. The Knights played 3 matches, 2 lost one on 8 points in third. The Lanyati from Eastern Cape played 4 games, 2 wins, 2 losses on 8 points. The Rhinos from Bumalanga 1 win after 2 games. The other one was a no result. They're on 6 points. Watch them. They could make a leap up the top of the order of the log. They still have a lot of games to go, and I think they've got one happening right now, actually, against the
They
Knights.
are, they
The
are.
Heat from Northern Cape, 1 win out of their 3 games on 4 points, and the Garden Route Badgers, a story we need to follow up, but we'll let it simmer a little bit. No wins out of 4 matches in that T20 tournament, so they're carrying the bottom of Division Two.
I'll tell you what's going wrong there. Their batting order is a mess. Their batting
Yeah.
order, they haven't got the batting order right at all. Heath Richards has to be batting up much higher up. He's batting at sixes and sevens,
Yeah.
and also in
Didn't
Division
weren't we
Two.
saying the same thing 2 seasons ago? Because he was scoring runs for them from lower down the order.
Yes, yeah, and it was too late. But obviously, it's a different coach
Yeah.
now. But yes, it is a similar story. Also in
Okay.
Division Two, when you've got somebody like Thomas Caber,
Mm.
you can afford to bowl him in the power play. I understand this, but I think when you've got to win games, I think he's got to bowl at least an over in the
Yeah.
power play, and he won't get wickets. He might go for runs, but he won't get wickets.
Yeah, and it's a risk and reward type of situation. But knowing how South African batters and men's, women's, Proteas, whatever it is, they really can't pick spin, especially wrist spin. So, yeah, you kind of need to give yourself a chance, which is one of the things I had with Northwest the other day. Okay, let's look at the fixtures for the week. Can the Limpopo Impalas put themselves forward? But this week they're not playing. They're only playing one game in Benoni on Sunday. If you want to go watch them, they play against Easterns. But we start with today. The Heat play the Mpumalanga Rhinos in Kimberley. That is ongoing as we're recording now. So when you listen to this recording, you'll probably know the result. We don't know right now. And then you've got Knights playing Easterns in Bloom on Wednesday. Big game for the Knights. Um, Gardenry Badgers are playing the Rhinos in Oudtshoorn. So big week for the Rhinos. They are two winnable games actually for them, right? And that could push them up to the top of the log with 8 points. And then you've got the Eastern Cape Linyati taking on the Northern Cape Heat in East London on Sunday. That will be and then a triple header in this division with Easterns taking on the Limpopo Impalas in Benoni in Wallamore Park, and then the Mpumalanga Rhinos host the Knights in White River. So that's going to be quite an interesting set of fixtures there going forward for the challenge. Really good week. Give the Impalas a watch on Sunday. They will surprise you. Gordon Parsons has them playing some really great cricket, and it's guys who tried to play on the high felt get games. They didn't, and then they moved up north, and they, they're playing really well at this level. And guys who understand that maybe this might be their level, and Ruan Housebrook is a really great wicketkeeper batter. Just didn't work out for the Lions. He played for the Lions 2 years ago. Then he got traded to Mpumalanga and everything else. And then obviously Sizo Masondo is doing really well for them as well. And they've got who is Carmel? Is it not Carmel Larue? Who's the fast bowler
No,
there?
Eldred Hawken.
Aldred Hawkins. Sorry, Hawkins. Yes, I'm just pulling out
Columnist in America.
all my Lions fast bowlers there. Okay, cool. So that's Division 2. Now let's look at the results from the CSA T20, which is Division 1. You had Northwest taking on the Tuskers in the first game after it was last week Wednesday actually. In the Northwest, because the Tuskers obviously lost out on their stadium rights and hosting rights. Northwest by 101 by 125 runs. Ruben Herman 102 or 54. Mikhail Prince 58 of 34. What happened was they shifted him and Vian Libber. So Vian Libber went down the order. Ruben Herman went on to open, and he then scored a bucket load of runs. Senran Mutusami doing Senran Mutusami things, 3 for 16 in that game. Then the next day, the Rocks took on the Dolphins in Paul. No, it wasn't Paul. So Brian got 2 for 19. Grant Wilson 71 of 45. Rocks got bowled out not got bowled, restricted to 1-8, 25 for 8, and the Dolphins only losing 1 wicket on the way to that 9 wicket run. 9 wicket win, sorry, 129 for 1. Then we had the Titans taking on the Lions this week, and the Lions won by 1 run. Vian Mulder 48 of 32. Delano Portita 32 not out of 15. But Rivaldo Munsami picking up from his 4-day series 88 of 42. The Lions won by 1 run in that game. It was scintillating viewing nonetheless. Really awesome win for the Lions at the Wanderers on Friday. And then the Warriors took on the Rocks. The Warriors won by 32 runs. Duckworth Lewis by Duckworth Lewis because of the rain. Javesh and Pillay doing the things for the Warriors. 45 of 29. Bears Swanepoel 4 for 16. Patrick Kruger 3 for 20. The game between the Dolphins and Northwest was a no result. And the game that made Tim cry before Liverpool made him cry, Western Province 127 for 9. Rain affected. But the Lions needed to get 51, I think, in 7 overs. They managed to get the 51, but they didn't get any more. So it became a super over. And they gave Mpho the super over. They needed 10 to defend. You need to defend 10. And he defended it really, really well. Really good bowling from Gwena. Bjorn for 10, 1 for 22, and Lutus Pablo 2 for 20. There's a game that we didn't do that was the uh, Lions against the Dolphins in Durban, where the Lions lost that game during the week. Everyone thought it was going to be rained out, but it wasn't. It was on the 13th, and the Lions put up 155 for 5, and the Dolphins got 159 for 6, and they got there very handsomely. With a 4 wicket win with 5 balls remaining. Ogutlekele took 2 for 21 in that game. Bartman 2 for 25. Bavuma 53 or 40 in that game. Another low scoring in Durban. Rassi 28 of 21. Bryce Parsons 62 not out for 49. And Jason Smith 32 for 18. Delano did take 3 for 25 in that game as well. So that was the only one that wasn't on the list. But Tim, what do you make of the results this week? The Warriors are sneaky good, unbeaten. No one's talking about them. They're just doing their job. They have a spinner that they trust, CSA T20 now, and they've uncovered another one, Robbie P, just doing his thing. And then they also have Javesh and Pillay, who all of a sudden is adding to the wealth of talent that they have down there in Quebec.
Yeah, and talking about youth, that's what's winning them games. It's guys that are generally under the age of 26, which is a huge boost not only for the Warriors but
Mm,
for South Africa. Um, so yeah, they're doing things nicely, but we've seen this story before. We've seen this doing
mm,
things nicely, and then they play a knockout game, and then they fall away. So
mm,
they've got to guard against that happening this season. But they're doing nicely. There's no doubt
mm,
about it. Look, as you rightly pointed out last week, said
mm,
those leaving would not affect the Lions because the Lions are so strong. The guys that are going to be behind are either current or very recent Proteas, so you were
mm,
still going to have a very strong squad. That's proven to be the case. Um, you've done the business. You've got Ryan Rickerton scoring runs. You've got Risa scoring runs. You've got
yeah.
Rian scoring runs, and you've got a phenomenal bowling attack. That is probably in this format the best bowling unit in the country
Okay.
in this competition. Um, Look, I still don't understand how we lost that game. I still don't understand it. I love Corona, but he gave us two full tosses. Two full tosses, and they weren't like ankle, they were like knee height. They were like, please spank me for four. And we got
Mm-hmm.
singles from both of them. So I don't know. But, 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 so yeah, the winners, of course, are the Warriors at the Lions. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Uh, I'm glad Ruben Herman was moved up the order. I'm glad a team that was struggling in this competition, has made the move before it's too late. Just tried something. And look, it might not have worked, but it looks to me like it's freed up Vian. It's put a little less pressure on
Mm,
him um, in his role, so he can have, 16, 17 balls to come in and just smack it rather than
yeah.
go into innings, and Ruben can play his natural game. So that's a huge thing for him. Uh, yeah, those are the big things, and obviously
Yeah.
province's struggles. That's what I said. I said if Tono Bird scores runs, we win.
Yeah.
If he
If
doesn't,
they
we
don't,
don't. And
yeah.
that's been, yeah.
Look, I think you're spot on with that. I like that Ruben Hanman opening move for them. I thought they wanted Vian Libert to be aggressive, but also he's at the top of the order. Aggression isn't necessarily the best way to go about it. And so Ruben Hanman kind of gives them that ability for them to ease into things, but it also helped that they're playing a Tusker side that has no home and also doesn't have a bowling attack that actually can scare us, right? The Dolphins are the ones that I think are on the mend. Unlucky about that no result this weekend, especially after that win against the Lions. I thought the Dolphins were the ones who were going to be looking up and doing quite well and getting themselves going in this tournament because this tournament kind of needs a strong Dolphins to kind of work, and they've figured out what they've needed to figure out from a performance perspective. Oguhle Cele seems seemingly like a really great find for them. He's bowling really well, and it's really good to see after injury. And then yeah, so for me, I think we're in a good spot right now. The Proteas have gone to the IPL, are in the IPL, and then now it's just about the ability for everyone else to put their hand up. I know the Lions have still quite a few Proteas in their side. Gwen Mapaka is showing us that he is as advertised who he is. So that's really awesome to see. And so it's one of those situations where I think this week's going to be quite defining, right? So let's look at the log before we go to the fixtures. Warriors on top, 4 out of 4, unbeaten, 19 points. Lions in second, having won 4, lost 1. That was the match against the Dolphins, 17 points. Western Province winning 3 out of their 4 on 13 points in third. The Dolphins splitting their games. They played 5, they've won 2, lost 2, and a no result, 11 points in fourth. The Titans are my worry. Having split 2 and 2, 8 points in, and the IPL players are now out of their squad, and so we see how they look now. The Dragons also kind of disappointing, 1 win out of 5, having lost 3 and 1 was a no result. And the Paul Rocks and the Tuskers, no wins. The Paul Rocks have played 4 games, no wins. Tuskers 3 games, no wins. When you look at that, when you look at that table, who needs to have a good week this week? I think the Titans need to have a good week if they want to be in contention to win this tournament. So too, I think Northwest. If you want to make a stake, a claim for this, remember they made the One Day Cup final. This is when your run starts. Now it is a double fixture tournament, so you will get more chances. Teams need to get to about 12 games. Yeah, 13, 12 games. No, 14, sorry, because it's 8. Sorry, I thought it was 7, like Division 1. So they'll be playing 14 games. So still a long way to go. But yeah, Tim, do you think the Titans will be able to get a run of games and a run of wins going? They've lost some close ones. Warriors 1 run, Lions 1 run. How are you feeling about them?
Yeah, I don't think it's a major issue at the moment. As you say, those games could have gone either way. Particularly the Lions game, and it really,
Mm,
really was. It really was could have gone either way. I don't think there's a major concern. Um, it'll be interesting to see how they behave
yeah.
psychologically because they have lost a lot of players, as you say, to the IPL. But
Mm,
it's not like they don't have the players that can win games. They do still have a really
yeah.
good squad.
And they've got some
Um,
youngsters, right? Luandre Pretorius,
yeah,
Steve Stolk,
Steve Stark.
guys who can come in for those guys.
Yeah,
So it's just about seeing how they perform, and yeah,
yeah,
it's not worrying. It's just worrying that they couldn't make the most of their IPL bound players.
yeah. My concern is more down below.
Okay.
Again, in paper, on paper, Tuskers could still stay up in Division One on paper. But you look at their squad and you look at where they're playing and you look at their bowling and in particular and you just think it's now impossible. It's now impossible.
Mm,
But if there's one format where they should be able to get something out of it, you can't
this is
really
it.
get worse. So there has to be some kind of a upturn, whether it's they put runs on the board and put
Yeah.
pressure on, or whether they get wickets. There's got to be some kind of upturn Um, Otherwise, there's going to be, a really tough tournament for them because, as you say, there's a lot more games.
Yeah, and I look at that. I'm like, how do I know that Rocks will win again? There will be a game where they will win it, but from a Tuskers perspective, I don't see where that is. And to even compound it, they're not even playing at home. So they're just going to be traveling around the country trying to do this. And yeah, because CSA last week said that they're going to be playing effectively. If I'm playing the Lions, we're going to play at the Wanderers. We're not going to play anything. So you're gonna, it's double travel and it's quite costly actually for a union that might get relegated. So yeah, really really tough there. Let's look at the fixtures and then we can wrap it up from there. Um, Wednesday, Titans take on the Dolphins and Centurion. And then on Thursday, the public holiday, so please do go out and support. The Warriors take on Western Province in Gqeberha. The Dragons take on the Rocks in Botch at the JB Marks Oval. Saturday is the first one of the first two double headers in the same stadium. So Titans take on Western Province at the Wanderers in the morning, early. I think it's a 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. For start, and then the Lions take on the Tuskers in Johannesburg as well at the Wanderers. So that's going to be a tough one for the Tuskers at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. Then in Quebec on Sunday, you've got the Dolphins taking on the Paul Rocks first up at 2 p.m. And then in the evening, the Warriors taking on the Northwest Dragons. An interesting slate of games. The Titans can bring it back, right? 2 wins here gets them going through against people above them in the log. The Lions have one game this week, and it seemingly is quite an easy one. Western Province take on the Titans and the Warriors. So that's going to be quite interesting to see how they come around there. Northwest with the Rocks, who they can win, and then putting themselves up against the unbeaten team in the tournament, which I think the Dragons actually could win this game. I'm just the way the Dragons play, they're like slaying giants, and this could be one nice win for them. And then you have the Dolphins taking on the Rocks as well, which I think the Dolphins need to with one game as well. Just similar to the Lions, just take the W, go home, get yourself ready for the next week.
Yeah, it really is for me the next two games. Those next two games are going to tell us a lot. There's it's a lot to go to, but as you say, are the Titans going to struggle without the Proteas,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Warriors province? Are the Warriors a real business, or are they just going to show us their talent and then slowly slip away as the season goes on? In a tournament like this, although there's lots of games, momentum counts for a lot. And they have the momentum at the moment. They have the youth on their side in terms of their squad. They have a good spinner who's having a very good tournament. Um, and then you look at Province. Those are two really big games for Province. I've been saying for some time I don't think this is their tournament,
Mm.
but this is their time against the Titans and the Warriors, two big teams, to shut me up. To say, you know what, we absolutely are for this tournament. We absolutely do have the individuals to win it. It's going to be very interesting. Um, Very interesting. I think, yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna go into too many technical things. I just think there's something not quite right there at the province in this format. It's not quite
Mm.
getting um, enough from the individuals. Even though they took a team like the Lions to the Super Over.
Uh, I'm two things about this, right? I get Duckworth Lewis's issue, right, and I understand, and I'm in disagreement, right. 51 in I think 7 overs. That's what it was. That's still a lot, and it I think it papers over the cracks there at Western Province, right. More than it amplifies their good things, right? And because you can pick your best bowlers to kind of give you one good over, and the like. But obviously, even from a batting perspective. they got 129 and 20 overs. It wasn't like they got to 150, rain affected, and it got amplified to 170. So it's that. It's just the question of how do we get to 51 out of when they scored only 129, right? But that's neither here or there. And so I look at, like, obviously Nandre's gone to the IPL, so like that bowling attack, Bjorn Hendricks, yeah, cool. He's still got it. It's at this level. And then you kind of look at them like, okay, who else? Who else can give me something? And they've got youngsters. And the thing for me with Western Province is it's now time for the youngsters to step up, right? To put their hands up, because yes, you'll rely on Kyle, yes, you rely on Tony, but in T20 cricket, you also need to do your bit, whatever your bit is.
Yeah.
And that's not happening. And these next two, well, Western Province going against the Warriors, it's a really nice game for guys to step up and put their hands up. Michali has been quiet for a while now. He needs to put his hand up, right? Abdallah Bayumi, who's in the middle order, lots of promise, lots of faith in him. It's his second season, and he's been playing pretty much all the games. He needs to step up and show us stuff, right? And it just can't be, well, John O'Bird doesn't happen, everyone else doesn't happen. Then, Tony, what are you doing? Keen, was it Carl? What are you doing? And you kind of need to just get a sense. Even like the likes of David Bedingham, they need to come with
Well,
something.
yeah. For me, it's I'm gonna give them some advice. Whether they take it or not, I'm gonna say Jono and Kappas have got to open for me. Then it's Birdium. Then it's Kyle. I think that's a four that you can get behind, and you can say we will get off to a good start.
Mm,
What you do after that is less important. I don't think it's despite his runs yesterday. I
mm.
don't think uh, the batting order at the moment is working. I don't think Birdium opening works for me. Um,
But
if you
where else can they put him?
So I
Because
would put him. I would put him at three. Uh, you want an explosive start. I think Province needed. They're a team that need an explosive start. You get an explosive start from Jono and Kappas because they are genuine stroke makers who like to attack the ball. They are going to get you 20 of 10. That's what they're gonna do. Preferably, you want more from Jono. You want a bit more than that. I think at the beginning of the innings, Betters eats up too many balls. He gets going once he's in, but he eats up too many balls. I think if he comes down,
okay,
you've got the runs, you've got your 50 runs, 40, 50 runs. He can then build an innings, and you build around him. That's what you do. You build around him rather than starting at the top. But then
yeah,
it does become.
that's
I'm not gonna lie. It becomes difficult because then you've got where do you
mm.
put Tony, and that kind of thing. Um, maybe Tony and Jono open. Maybe that. Maybe that.
That makes more sense to me, because last I checked, you told me that Kappas can't play in this format. Well, he's not. He's still too green. So, yeah,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I said, and that's the other side of having youngsters, right? Is T20 is quick at this level. It's quick and it's fast, right? And with the higher quality of bowling, you will suffer. Look at how the Tuskers are going through it all right now. And not because the Tuskers are young, but it's because the Tuskers are playing guys who never got used to playing and scoring at a high rate at this level. It was a question that I had with Northwest. We know what Vian Liver can do, but he just wasn't there. Ruben Hadman was promoted up to Mpumalanga, so we thought, okay, is he good enough at this level? Now he's showing that he is, so that's a plus. Mikael Prince, they took a risk on him. Oh, don't you miss him right now, Tim?
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
yeah,
I said at the time. I said Juan James should have stayed at Northwest, and we should have taken
yeah, yeah,
Mikhail. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
yes,
I
but
get why we didn't, but yeah.
you get a sense that, and that's the thing about this team, right? I can't. When do we stop calling them young? When do we start excusing them, right? I think it's just a hangover from 4 day. I think they'll get it right, and maybe this week, because sometimes the rhythm thing, getting used to playing in the shorter format and being aggressive. Some players, it's not their game, like you told me about Kappa's. You said no, Kappa's game is more of a stroke maker in the middle order, but he's not necessarily that aggressive guy. Jono's your guy. I don't get why we're bringing back Bellingham. I understand he's got the experience, but is he a T20 type of guy? Is there not somebody else in the setup that you can bring in and give an opportunity? And so those are the questions. Carl Verena, Carl needs to start scoring runs, shoulder more of the burden. He can't abscond himself, absolve himself from the criticism that's happening at Western Province, because that team is Tony and Carl and the kids. That's what it is. It's Tony, Carl, and the kids, and um, it's been that way for the entire season. Obviously, Buren as well. Sorry, Tony, Carl, and Buren, and Nandre and the kids. Nandre's gone. Buren's there. You guys need to find a way. And also, you've got Carl Simmons, so you've got a situation where you can take wickets, right? You can cause drama. It's just you just need extra 20, 30 runs.
It's the top six. It's just the top six. It's not the bowling. The bowling's not an issue. It's the top six and the inability to score 10 and over when needed. That's been
Yeah.
the issue. That's the issue. There's no. We know what the issue is. It's just solving it. And look, so my final point. The only reason I said Kappas is because I think Tony's out of form at the moment. So I just thought for a game, try Kappas at Open and see what happens. Because there's enough games at the tournament to do that to see what happens. Obviously, Tony is a very good player. For whatever reason, it's just not quite clicking for him at the moment.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, that's what this tournament is right now. The guys who are running early are the guys who are settled. They know who their roles. They are playing well, and they're playing to that, and it's working. But the guys in the middle, the Titans, Western Province, the Dolphins somehow I've gotten there. That's what I see. Titans, Province, and Northwest. I'll put Northwest in that bracket. We're trying to figure themselves out. Both Titans and
Yeah,
Western Province have good bowling attacks to keep them in the game. Northwest, you kind of need Miguel and Duhan to actually step up and show us who they are. But from a batting perspective, all three teams have the same issue. That batting order needs to kind of find a way. The Titans, I think, are a little bit more solid, and I think once the IPLs actually leave, and they've done so, they'll be a little bit more settled. Ruben Harman is playing well. I'm just shocked seeing Neil Bunt bat at 6. I was like, what? Okay, that's fun. Um, but yeah, look, because the thing is, Pretoria, they can find a kid to throw in there and give a chance. But they're going with Neil Brunt, so
yeah.
we'll take that with a pinch of salt. And yeah,
You
so for
probably
me, that's hmm?
again. I'm just going to touch. It's because he can bowl. I tell you now, in that boardroom meeting, they're going, but he can bowl us 2 or 3 overs, which can hold up an end and restrict the opposition. That's the discussion that's going around Brunt. Brunt shouldn't be playing in this format. You should be playing Steve Stoke and Lunter Pretorius
And
and
shipped everyone
whoever
down one.
else, and ship everyone else down, and Brunt should be sitting out.
Mm.
That's just how it should be. But
Yeah.
I know why he's there.
No, we yeah. Well, look, it,
Versatility in this format goes a
yeah,
long way.
being able. Yes, it's given many people a lifeline. So yeah, we'll look into that. Yeah, look, Tim, this week's going to be quite an interesting one. Lots of CSA T20 games, double headers in the same stadium. That's also been quite interesting. And nice for the fans. So please do go out and check it out at the Wanderers on Saturday and in Gqeberha as well. So those games are going to be really, really packed and have the vibe. If you're in Gqeberha, have a look at Oguhle. He is really good. He is that guy. And it'll be interesting to see how that Warriors team with CSA Metu and Javesh and Pillay go up against Northwest on Sunday night. And then obviously the Lions. You've got Titans Western Province first up. Oh, that's nice. You got Lions and Tuskers. Can I ask CSA, can we swap them? Let the Lions deal with the Tuskers very quickly at 2 p.m. And then we'll all just file in for Titans Western Province because, yeah, the Tuskers are going through the most. But they'll be searching for their first win of the tournament. Hopefully, the Rocks can get some sort of a win this week to just get off the to just get something on in that win column. But yeah, people are going to be. It's a long time to go, and so we have a good one. But Tim, thank you very much, and yeah, enjoy the cricket this week, everyone. Good luck to SA Emerging Men. Is that what you call them? Or they are South Africa at the African Games. So they, yeah, it's not a Proteas Cup, but they're representing South Africa. So good luck to them. Bring home the gold. And yeah, outside of that, Tim, it's goodbye and le sale kakahiso.